Kehlani is here. The world stops, baby. Serial lover. Hey! Yeah.
Deal.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I'll put it. It's okay now. Shit.
Hey, congratulations. How we feeling? Close
I'm,
to that number one?
I hope so. It could be really cool if I do.
How satisfying is it? I mean, I know you said like some of it's like the reaction's been so strong, like, you know, taking away the motion of it. Just like when you look at the body of work, how proud are you of what you were able to like create and put out to the world?
I'm super proud on two different angles. One, musically, I made it with all people that I care about. Every single person who was a part of the project, even down to the mixing engineers, even down to like people in the building working it, is people that I really, really cared about. It wasn't any like, super organized, strategized, put together type of stuff. And then on the other side, we weren't going to be able to put it out. So we
Yeah.
decided like, if I can take matters into my own hands and push it and things like that, creative, then I can do it. So, and I did it. So,
No, that's amazing. I mean, that's it. Like as creatives, right? In any field, how do we deal with this quarantine situation, right? How do we deal with this? None of us saw this coming, right? And you, as a creative, your pivot has been flawless. Like you became Hype Williams. How does that happen?
Thank you. Fun. I mean, luckily I was able to. Luckily I have access to like things like a desktop and I Best Buy curbside pickup, so I can go pick up the camera and pick up. Luckily I can afford Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Premiere and all those things. Like I was grateful I was able to do that, and I said, well, if I'm able to have access to this, why not use it? Why not hit the YouTube University and learn what I can? And that's kind of how everything pivoted.
And that started with Toxic, right? And just the reaction to that got everybody, the label, everybody on the same page. Like, oh, we could do this, right? We can make this album work in this climate right now.
Yeah, they was like, okay, we see the vibes now and we want to support. And they were like, okay, all right, you can keep it pushing, and we'll support you whatever where we can, whether it's like, you edit the video, if you need us to find a colorist to fix the video after, if you need us to help, push it and get it to people, then, they stepped up where they could, and I really, really appreciated that.
Talk about it, Kehlani. That video Toxic, though, it shook up the game, man. Like, did you have a vision in mind? Like, how did it become that in your judgment?
Man, I honestly just thought it was gonna be some fun shit between me and my fans. No joke. Because one, I was hella wine drunk, and I just tried out a bunch of different stuff in my room and put my laptop on different surfaces and try to make it happen with whatever I could. And I honestly thought my fans were gonna be the only ones to fuck with it.
Yeah.
And kind of like took its own life on the internet. But I did have the cheeks out, so sometimes that can bring them out.
That helps. But you shot other ones now. You shot Everybody's Business video.
Mm-hmm.
Effing fucking makeup. I can't do it. And open. Like, so it's just, you feel like you're getting in your bag is like this video direction and this vision. Because I saw you said, like, if they're going to keep LA shut down, you might have to shoot a video to every song and album.
Yeah, just 2 days ago, me and my friend sat in our garage office, and we came up with 3 new treatments. The homegirl that I do all the videos with. So we came up with 3 new treatments, and we're just deciding to kind of keep it going. We might as well. It's like, I would rather leave this era and go to my next album knowing that I like did everything that I could, possibly do, and that I did. And honestly, it's keeping me sane throughout everything also. So.
Yeah. And you said, I think you teased last night, you said Bad News might be the next one, the next visual?
Oh, yeah, the Bad News video is going to be really beautiful. Hopefully I can make it all happen, quarantine style, but the idea is cool, so.
Yeah, can you talk about that song? Because you said the song, I don't know if you realized it at first, but you were saying the song, you kind of felt a connection to your mother and your parents, within the content of that song. Can you explain that connection?
Yeah, well, my dad, he died in a gang-related incident. He was shot. And when my mom would talk about it, the few times I really connected with my mom about that, because, I didn't grow up with my mom. The few times she would tell the story over, it came from the same place of like her remembering that fear and kind of her carrying that with her, kind of like her whole life, about how that affected her and how that transferred into like her motherhood and how how she loves and how she viewed love and how much she misses him and the things like that. So yeah, to me, when I was writing that song, I was like, damn, I get it. Like, I get it. I get how it felt. So
Yeah. So notice the whole thing you said from jump with this album is that you have felt like with some of the past material, you have went for some pop, go for the pop a little bit, but this one you wanted to kind of keep it straight R&B and treat
yeah.
and make it conceptual. Why was that so important to be the vision? And why did you make, even though the album went through many differences, it stuck to that vision?
Yeah, I mean, I write whatever I'm going through. Like, it's very rare that I'm gonna drop an album and you'll ask me, what were you going through on this album? It'll vary from whatever the content of the album is. Like, so that's really what I was experiencing at the moment. Granted, when my previous albums were more poppy, I was experiencing that. I was in a poppier, more bubbly, more younger, youthful place, and I think
Yeah.
that people either really love that about this album and they love that it kind of took a new turn and it really matured and it grew up, or they missed the poppier stuff. But I just tell them, like, go listen to the pop stuff. And
By my old shit.
it probably won't be, making too much pop music again. I really love when I'm able to kind of get in the R&B back.
But I think it's cool too also because like with the album, like a lot of times you'll see like in the history of music, like people will make records that are kind of the breakup album, right? Or about a relationship that didn't work out. And I think what's so great about the title that you guys came up with is that it kind of makes it like a classy way to look at it, right? Like it was good until it wasn't. Like it's against all the salacious social media shit that you kind of had to deal with in your career. Like it kind of caps it, but it still makes it respectful, right? Was that important?
Yeah, I mean, that's just really how I feel about this situation. That's really how I feel about the relationships that I've been in. Like, I really do believe that every relationship has its purpose for you as an individual, if it's positive or negative. And even the negative ones, they make you a better person. I know they made me a better woman. So I don't view the situations that I go through just in a petty way for me to make a petty breakup album. Like, I do view and still respect everybody that I've ever been with, because at some point we really loved each other, so it's nothing but love and respect carried on once the initial issues are worked out. So
yeah, what made you go so provocative with the content?
well,
I mean, there's flashes of that in some of your older albums, right? Like
yeah, nah.
But like when you turn this thing on from jump, it's like the tone is set.
I mean, I did a lot of my features, I think, leading up to this album. A lot of my features in the last like year and a half have been pretty provocative or nasty or whatever we calling it. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of people first heard me when I was like 18, 19 years old. Like, I'm 25. Yeah. Like, of course, at 25 years old, my music is gonna sound a lot different. And I had a baby. Y'all wanna know y'all know how babies get here?
Yeah. And you said that motherhood kind of made you more confident and sexy, like feeling more sexual, like more. Like sometimes people think being a mother will take that away. Some things I've seen. You said it sort of heightened your awareness of your situation.
I mean, I think that motherhood really, like, I don't know, it brings you. I mean, childbirth itself and going through a pregnancy like brings you into a space of like being more comfortable with your body and being more into your body. Like, I birthed butt ass naked in a room full of people, so it was like I didn't have no room to be comfortable with my body, and then I had to develop this new relationship with my body where I was like, oh, I'm proud of you. Like, you crazy thing that like not everybody does. Like, this is crazy. So being proud of it, that makes sex different. That makes everything different. So
yeah. I know you're also proud of your pen game. I think on Open you said like, you sort of took the time to even say you was proud of your own pen game. Like, you talk about that song and like what is it like, because it seems like you have a core group of people, but you are the leader. You have the pen and pad out, old school style, and you're really crafting. Like, talk about your process when it comes to writing.
Well, if I'm writing solo, like, usually I'll just freestyle a bunch of shit until I can like figure out what like I guess words match the things that I freestyle, because I freestyle and I mumble until I catch something. But when I co-write, what I really appreciate is that unless I'm having an off day where like I don't know how to start something up and I let somebody start, everybody kind of knows to ask me how I want to start and where I want to go, because you can just kind of tell when I didn't write something. I feel like you can tell Like the song Crazy, from my last album. You could tell I didn't write that song. It was cool, but it felt kind of like it didn't fall in line with like my heart, I guess. And I feel like even when I'm writing kind of boppier, cooler, like turned up stuff, there's still these kind of like heart space kind of moments. But
Yeah.
yes, I'm co-writing. I usually just co-write with people that I love and that I care about, and we be laughing, dying laughing in the studio, like usually just figure out throwing things at the wall until they stick. And then if I get I really love, then it's just instantly super fast for me. So
Yeah, like you like open. You said, "Are you scared to lose your queen and gain a bishop?" Like you, every once in a while you dropping them sharp lines, like ooh, like I know the other one you said like about taking bodies all the way to. I think I saw the City Girl shout you out with that. Like when you get off a hotline like that, like where does that come from? That's just like just the practice and the dedication you have to the craft.
honestly, I think some people is just like got slick mouths, and I think I've always I got a slick mouth. Like somebody will say something, and then I'll like I don't know if it's like punchlines that I have, but people laugh at me all the time for things like that. Like the other day, somebody's walking through the house singing Pop Smoke, and I was like, that should be like a potty training kid song. Like it's that's how my brain works kind of like all the time. So I think that's kind of where the cool little sharp lines come from.
Yeah, I want to talk about everyday business because speaking of that process, I saw something you said like you were stuck on that opening line, like ain't never been a half-assed lover, and like so when you're in that process, like how do you get out of that and get it to where you want to be? And did you feel like that record's kind of like your statement to put all the kind of salacious shit that's been said in its place?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like it was something that people discussed about me all the time. Um, and I'm not the type of person to like go and address it a billion times on my Instagram or like do lives about it or like tweet about it. And I just now started doing interviews again, like even
Yeah.
with blogs. I know some people have been like, damn, you've been just being on all the blogs, talking on all the blogs. I've been for so long. I almost wanted to just like show that I
Yeah,
could.
I hit David. I was scared you was gonna cancel. I got shook. I was like, I'm a good guy. I'm gonna be nice. I
No,
promise.
good music based interviews. That's why I fuck with. That's why I rock with you. But even then, it was like sometimes there's some things that are just kind of like a part of the game a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to show that like I wasn't afraid of it more than anything. Like I wasn't scared to step out and like talk about things that I've been through and self
Yeah.
critique. Like go through questions and allow people into my world for a second because it was already out there. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything out there. I might as well be able to
But I
talk
think
about.
what's important is that with artists, like people, you go into the thing where don't ask this artist this, but any artist, like the creatives that you are, you're gonna put it in your music, and when you put it in your music, it's gonna be the terms that you're comfortable with and how you feel about it, and that's part of the expression, right?
Yeah, and that's really why I made that song because it was like if I'm gonna say something about it, I'm gonna say it right here. You know, even with the skit that goes in front of the song, it was like self-explanatory. That's things I read about myself. That's things I hear about myself. So it was like if I'm instead of clapping back,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it here.
Why were those skits so important? And like that's all you said. Like you wanted to make sure they had their own like track listing too, like in case people were reshuffling the album or making
Yeah.
their own playlists. Like, but it seems like in the narrative, those skits are very important. Like, why were they so important?
I mean, to me, to have that skit before Water, just on some like pussy power shit, like who better to the pussy power movement right now than Megan, and she's
Yeah.
like a actually good friend of mine. It was perfect. And then with Everybody Business, it was just like I need y'all to know that I see this shit and I hear this shit and I know the conversation that goes on around my name. You know what I'm saying? And I do want the opportunity to think about it and address it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's something I feel like I just reserve the right to do.
Yeah.
So
You mentioned Meg. I forgot you talked about your features. Like I remember I interviewed Meg for Crown and hit my phone. She was telling me how much she loved that record off the rip, but it was your record. She didn't think she could get it from you. And then finally you said, here it is, you can have it. And I'll be your feature. How did that happen?
well the album was a completely different album before this. I was kind of like in a little like West Coast bag. There was a lot more like
Okay. A lot of this.
yeah, there's up tempos, like little like knock type of things on the album before, and that was part of mine. And when I wasn't gonna use it anymore because I got I got in my feelings and I started making little songs being in my feelings. I was like, this shit don't fit this shit at all. But Megan loved it so much. And she was like, I want it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to take it. I was like, for sure. Go ahead. Like,
Yeah, she was
cool.
dumb excited. Also, I don't know if I've heard you spoke about the Cardi B collab. You know, it's a light work, Grammy or something. Do you get a Grammy? Like, that's a huge part of a huge album. Like the whole, and I think when we did the video, you guys were all blinded out. Like, talk about connecting with Cardi on that Ring record.
Yeah, well, we're signed to the same label, and they reached out and they was like, yo, Cardi like really wants you on this album. And I was like, what? And that's actually even crazier. That's how I connected with Nisha, who I ended up writing with a lot on this album. And she was, you know, became one of my really close friends, especially in the music game. And that was one of her first like song placements. And they sent this to me with like just a hook to cut. I was like, yo, can I write a verse? Like, what's the deal? Like, and they let me get my little verse off, and the song came about, and then we shot the video. And she's just epic. I think people don't credit her enough for, you know, flipping her whole shit upside down and getting everything back for real.
On Bad News, you talking about love. You said I know all the stories from your tattoos. I feel like with you, obviously anybody that gets tattoos like you could tell stories the same way. Like, what is it about body art that's significant to you, and why is that so important? And what stories did some of your tattoos tell?
I think, I mean, you can just tell that I've been through a lot of things. Every single one of these, I think, represent a different time period in my life. And this is a whole like arm of cover-ups of like all my shitty high school, like getting tapped at a train station in somebody's garage, like
real shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like under here is like the classic ratchet, like music notes and clouds and stars and like that. So thank God I covered them bitches.
But how did you get into getting the tattoos? Did it hurt? You know, always think about it. Is it gonna hurt? Like, how does it become like a lifestyle? Because I feel like when people start getting them, then they get more, right? Like, how does that work?
I think if you like art, then getting tattooed is just, it becomes a expressive thing for you. Just like how some people get one pair of shoes and they love the pair of shoes and they're like, okay, well now it make me get my fits off better. So now I'm gonna get more shoes and more shoes and more shoes. It becomes something they fall in love with. So not to compare, you know, tattoos and shoes, but like it kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah, and you said you might get more. The back is open. The back is you might get, no, not your back. You might get more tattoos though, right? Your back.
My back is completely empty. I'm
it is open. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to like figure out like what I'm gonna do with that, but I'll figure it out.
Nah, man, I really appreciate it. But the album cover itself, I forgot to ask this. Like, I've seen so many theories about the album cover, and like everybody's saying what it means. And I think that even the album cover itself is special about the project, the art itself. Like, talk about your view of what the symbolism, what the album cover represents.
Well, to me, it's like I'm in this in-between space, which is kind of like what the album title means. It was good until it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Secondly, is where I was in this relationship of like not knowing, like, do I leave? Do I stay? I kind of left once. I came back. I'm staying. Like, people don't even realize that when you do leave a relationship, that doesn't mean the day that you leave, the love goes away. You know what I'm saying? You could leave and you could walk away, and you could be stuck in a relationship. I mean, not stuck in a relationship, but stuck in love for months. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like for me, it was that journey of like, well, I'm looking ahead, and clearly whatever's ahead of me must be crazy. It must be big. It must be wild. But then you see with the back cover, like, okay, the back cover is like, it's crazy in her own backyard. It's crazy behind her. You know what I'm saying? I got that little asshole trying to put out my own shit.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important to me that people notice the tiny hoes, because I was trying to put it out.
The fire out.
And the reason that you can't tell from the front cover that anything is going on behind me is because I really wanted you to be surprised by that flip and surprised by that perspective.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's always that perspective. What's good and what's bad? Is it really good? Was it ever good? Has it always been bad? It's kind of like putting you in that headspace to interpret it however you want.
Absolutely. Serial Lover. That's my favorite on here. That's a Boy Wonder, right? One of Boy
Yeah.
Wonder.
Uh-huh.
What's it like working with him? Like, I feel like he did what? He did two of your favorites, right? He did Grieving also, right?
Yeah, him and the Rascals did Grieving.
Yeah. Talk about Serial Lover. I feel like, you know, that's sort of like you sort of declaration that it's time to be single, right? I got to get in my zone. I got to handle my business. Like, talk about that, the importance of that song on the album.
Well, to me, it was like it was like the anthem for people who are hopeless romantics, and they kind of get in the bag of always kind of deciding, okay, I'm going to focus. Okay, I'm going to chill. I'm not going to go date anyone. I'm not going to fall in love with anyone. And then someone comes along like, hi, so nice.
They fuck it up. They fuck it up.
Right. So it's like, that's the whole intention. That's the whole thing of like, I have good intentions, you know, like I don't intend to go be in multiple relationships, but like, what if somebody just come along and like they just seem great? Am I gonna pass it up because I'm holding myself to this standard of like fuck everybody for a second? What if I miss the love of my life? You know what I'm saying? But working with Boy Wonder was incredible. I actually went to Toronto for like the last bit of finishing my album, and we made Serial Lover and Grieving like in his like home studio, which was super, super fun. I just was sitting on a chair and had this mic, this hand mic, and was just like getting shit off for a second. Everybody in the room was like, I got bodies I'm gonna take to the grave, you and your bag.
I know you said Grieve is your favorite with James Blake. I know how much you respect you have for him. But the line in that too, I think you said the option was to stay and ride or to let it die. I picked a side. Now I'm just grieving. Like, talk about like how tough is that in real life, and then how tough is that to put it like in a song?
Well, in real life, it's hard. It's like, I think that a lot of us that grow up, you know, in any type of hood or we haven't witnessed any type of like relationship where it's perpetrating the whole ride or die concept, where we're taught that love means like, you better thug this shit out.
Yeah.
Ever the fuck, no matter what. Like, you know, y'all Gucci Mane meme where it's like, y'all bitches want this, but y'all don't realize she thugged it out through this and this and this and this and this, and that's how she got the da 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 and things like that. So we kind of taught that. We kind of like, we're kind of like fed that that's what love is how much can you take. That means that it's the strongest. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the option was to stay here and ride it the fuck out, or to let it die, which is the ride or die. Option ride or let it die. But I picked the side, and now I'm grieving, and it's like grieving is a sad process. It's full of I don't want to say regret. I mean, depending on how you grieve, you know what I'm saying? It can be full of regret, very sad, it's very heavy, it's dark. So it's like I did choose to move the fuck on. I choose to move forward, but it doesn't mean it's the easiest thing to do. But I do need my space while I'm doing so, because I have to go through this process in order to breathe correctly.
I want to trade James Blake stories with you, because I have a good James Blake story. Not to sound like I'm bragging, but Jay-Z hit me and was like, I'm going to go to this show. And it ended up being a James Blake show. So it's like me, Emery, his boys. So it's like all these hip-hop dudes, hoodies out, going to a James Blake show. And like the crowd is real, you know. And I finally got to meet him backstage. And he's just like the coolest dude. Like he lived up to the hype. Like he's just so like mellow and like confident in who he is and his energy. I just really liked his energy. And I saw you saying very similar things about him. Like, so it's not even just about the music. Like, talk about like getting to know him as the person.
He's so chill. Honestly, I don't know if I have a bad habit of like downing myself or something, where I just assume like if you're not in my world of peers, then like you probably don't know I exist, or like depending on how I think how epic or like prestigious the music is, and I just assume like, the fuck would you know who I am when I feel like you are like, you make the most epic, like big fan. So me, in my head, I was like, why the fuck would James Blake know I sick? You feel me? And when they connected us, he was actually like, I love You Know What's Up. It's the song you just dropped. It's so great. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, what the fuck? Like, him and his girlfriend made me tea. We sat on his couch, songs back and forth.
Some tea. Yeah.
That was crazy. And he loved the record, and he knocked.
Yep.
Bad, I got a phone call.
No problem.
Now we talk all the time.
Okay.
Super supportive.
That's dope. Tsunami. What's the significance of that word? You got a tat, record label, clothing line. What does tsunami mean to you? Like, why is that word so important to you?
Oh God, this is like the funniest story that I've never told.
You like funny stories.
It's the funniest story that I've never told, and one day I'll tell it in like a real way too, also. But so
This
okay,
ain't the
no,
real way, Kehlani. Hello, like I'm
no,
like.
I'm bring all the photos up and like lay the timeline out.
Okay.
Um,
You
so
cleaned it up. Okay.
no, it's because it involves real photos. So
Okay.
when I was little, nobody wanted to tell me how my dad passed away. They just thought it was like too intense of a story. They thought it was too traumatic, and so all I have inherited from him is a boogie board, a wetsuit, some photos, and some hockey skates. I didn't get the hockey skates till way later, but I had the boogie board and the wetsuit. So I'm a little kid. I'm coming up with all these theories like, duh, my dad got eaten by a shark. Fuck, like it's the only thing that makes sense. They like, yeah, fuck it, your dad got eaten by a shark. Like nobody's correcting me. Nobody's telling me it's not the case. I got this full-fledged idea in my head that my dad confirmed got eaten by a shark. Like, so I've developed this super crazy different fear with sharks. Then I feel like it gets double confirmed when I turn like 8 or 9 and I get given this like hologram big ass photo of a surfer in this wave. And they're like, this is your dad. Like, he sent this home from Hawaii, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, okay, definitely. The story's just adding up. He got eaten by a shark. Like, he was a surfer. Like, this makes all the sense, right? So I start taking this photo everywhere. Mind you, I done already named my brand Tsunami in honor of like the wave thing and like my dad and like that whole thing. Like I've been rolling with it. I'm about to like make an album with like that as the cover, and I done made a jacket with this photo of my dad back, right? We get to Christmas and I'm like, what, like 19 or 20, and my uncle gets hella faded. And he walks in and he's like, yo, you better stop using that photo. That's not your daddy, for the real surfer come find you and sue you or something. And I'm like, this not my dad? He go, when your dad was in Hawaii pimping and we asked him what he was doing, he sent this photo home, so we did what else he was doing in Hawaii. So that was my dad's cover-up photo as to what he was really doing in Hawaii. And I just been thinking my dad's some epic surfer dude, like, for most of my life, and developed this fear of sharks for no reason. So that's where Tsunami came from, and it just stuck. And there's.
But see, I mean, you still love it though. You still hang on to it though. What made you still hang on to it?
And Lonnie Tsunami, Johnny Tsunami, like it's perfect. It makes sense, and I just think that story in itself is more funny than anything.
That's amazing. Before I let you go, dedicated the whole album to what's her name, Lexi
Ivy J.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never really got to connect with her. Like, talk about her. What made her special as a friend, and what did you like about her as an artist and musician?
Well,
Unique?
I found her as an artist for anything. I was on tour when I was like, I think my first tour ever for my first project, Cloud 19.
There's some fans already been in the comments. I've been here since Cloud 19.
No, period. So when I was on tour, I remember being on a tour bus and I'm on SoundCloud and this girl comes up and she's 16 years old and like saying the song like I'm 16, I'm like this, da, da, da. And I was like, what the fuck? Like who sounds like this? And it makes no sense. So I slid in her DMs and I was like, yo, call me. I just want to talk to you. I just want to call you. So I called her and we was talking on the phone. I was like, I need you on a song. Like, so we made our song. Throughout making the song, we got really close. Like, she'll come over. She had a show. I did her makeup for it. Like, we had all these really funny, like, quirky moments. I connected mostly because we had the same view of the industry, the same view of what we wanted to both have, like, kind of sadder stories of what we've been through and what we've overcome. And we kind of really connected on that battle, like overcoming. And she was just so special because she really was a hip hop head. You know what I'm saying? Like, she cared about music on a different level than I've ever seen anyone care about music. She would stay up all night and watch interviews and stay up all night and watch old footage of people in the studio. And she could sing you every popular Jay-Z song and Nas and just all the like real rap shit. And that's something I didn't really grow up listening to rap. I was just super impressed because that's how I am with R&B music. That's how I am with neo soul music. She was on a different level. She was on a super different level.
Yeah, and you took a lot of care with that last song, right, to make sure it was her vocals were right, the music came in and out. Like, talk about how much work you put in to make sure that song was executed to the way you would like.
Well, I had to choose between a couple of her songs. I didn't want anything that made it sound like she was anything but triumphant. I didn't want a sad verse. I didn't want a verse about a boy. I was like, I know what she would want. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she'll want people to know that she was triumphant, was strong, and like no matter what the fuck was going on, like she had something to teach other young women. And I feel like that's really what came out of that verse. Is she's teaching, she's speaking in this like very like leader-esque type of way. So I deconstructed the song. I sat with the engineer and took the beat apart and put in different parts of the beat, different sounds at different times. And we had to go over it so many times. And like every single time I was just like, man, I want to finish this so bad and just get it over with, because it's becoming harder and harder to listen to.
Yeah,
Like
emotion. Yeah.
bro, like tearing up. I'm like, fuck, like how do we just hurry up and finish this? Because it's hard. And now I listen to the project, it's like I sometimes gotta skip the outro off the it could make me really sad.
Yeah.
So but that shit's beautiful. It's but
And her
it's
family loved it and everything. You said the family, everybody's full support of everything, right?
yeah, I mean, me and her family is real cool. Like at the funeral, it was nothing but love. At the benefit concert that I did with her family, is nothing but love. It's always been but love. She used to bring her sisters to my shows whenever I was like out there. And really, what I want people to take away from it is to when they after they listen to the project to go listen to her projects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Her music. Go to her Instagram and share those posts and share her SoundCloud link and take care of all those things, because that's really what she was doing all the music for. She just wanted to support her family and take care of her family. So the way you can support and continue her dream, anybody who's watching, is to go share her music beyond this, beyond my album. Go share her music and reach out about her and share her stuff.
So before we get out of here, you said at my big old age, I can't be phased. Like, how cool is it being 25 compared to the 20-year-old Kehlani?
I mean, I'm just proud of myself. I think I've developed a lot as an individual. I think that I'm a lot more of an accountable, self-critiquing person. I think that I'm a lot calmer. I think I used to get easily bothered and easily upset and be really, really fearful about the world, fearful just about everything I was doing. I also think I was just way ahead of myself. So I really just I'm happy to be a mature, like grown. I think the motherhood made the biggest difference. And I'm just ready to keep growing. I can't wait to see what 30-year-old me is like. I think she's gonna be tight.
Well, you should feel triumphant. Congratulations. I think this great thing is that you sort of been able to like take control of the narrative and tell your story, and we see how well it's resonating with everybody. So continue success.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Kehlani, thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, title check-in. Kehlani, it was good until it wasn't. Make sure you get her album. Get her the #1. She needs that Oaktown. You know, we're married to the town. You know what I'm saying? Get that #1. We like to be #1 out here, man. Elliot Wilson, title check-in. Thanks for watching. Peace.